The NBA Cup is here. The Denver Nuggets, 4-day break. They look like they're taking advantage of it. We got some high-leverage basketball on the way for the Denver Nuggets. Pelicans, the Memphis Grizzlies in a back-to-back. One of them is an NBA Cup game. There's been a lot of great basketball played around the NBA this week. We're going to dive into some of that. And Coach Malone, 2 wins away from becoming the winningest coach in Denver Nuggets history. We're going to talk about all that and more. Ryan and I here at Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Boom, boom, boom. Welcome to Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swipa. This is your team every day. Shout out to y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here. I'm joined by my brother, my co-host, Ryan, a.k.a. Ryan Chartburn. We are here today to talk about the Denver Nuggets, talk about the NBA Cup. Y'all, but today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. We are here today to talk about what we're getting into. What's up? What's so funny? What's so funny, Ryan? What's so funny?
I'm just don't read the comments. Don't read the comments.
Don't read the comments. Don't read the comments. Yo, I am very excited about this week because we're getting some NBA Cup action, and the NBA has worked very hard to push this brand new product they debuted last year. They were looking at the Sierra A, they were looking at the Champions League across the pond, and they were like, you know what? We need some of that. We need some of that here in the NBA. And last year, the Los Angeles Lakers win their coveted 18th championship last year in the in-season tournament that doesn't count towards anything historically. Are we even able to track the numbers for the in-season tournament stats? We can, but will they be a part of anybody's legacy? Who knows? But hey, we'll find out. This is going to be an interesting.
Got to add it to LeBron's legacy immediately, man. He won the first one, and of course he did. Any opportunity that he's got to win something, he's got to win it.
Yeah. Well, Brian, give us a breakdown. So the Denver Nuggets are getting ready to play in the NBA Cup. What should the people be expecting from the Denver Nuggets as they get ready for this brand new iteration of the season?
Yeah, so if people remember last year, Denver, they went through the NBA Cup, most of it without Jamal Murray. They were starting Reggie Jackson in those games, and it clearly didn't go perfectly well. And now this year they are facing, in their current group, the Warriors, the Pelicans, the Grizzlies, and the Mavericks. Opening up with the Pelicans on Friday. Pelicans, obviously, it should be a great matchup for Denver, given the fact that they currently have 1,000,001 injuries on their roster at the moment. But those teams right now, with the Warriors playing really great basketball, with everybody knows that Dallas is very dangerous, and then Memphis is feisty. Then they've got some size that can match up with the Nuggets. So all of those matchups are going to be interesting in some form or fashion. And if the Nuggets have the best record and the best point differential out of that group, then they will advance to Las Vegas, hopefully, and try to claim an NBA Cup. And that, I honestly think it's good. I think it's a cool thing to think about and make the beginning of the regular season more interesting, but we'll see what the players ultimately think and how they expect it.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to kind of get this started. Number one, we're going to see an opportunity when the Nuggets get back, finally get to see this brand new court. If you haven't seen it, The Athletic, actually, they did a ranking. You can see all the in-season tournament courts that looked really nice. And then you can also see it on ESPN as well. And Ryan, how do you feel about this new court for the in-season tournament for the Nuggets with the mile-high mountains and stuff in the back?
I thought it looked pretty good. To me, it's not overstated. It looks a lot more like an NBA court than a lot of the other ones do. Where do they have them ranked?
I think they finished third.
That's
or
pretty
tied
good, yeah.
for third. Yeah, I think they were finished tied for fourth and third. But it looks clean. You know, I like it. I kind of like the very outlandish styles a little bit. The number one was the Portland Trailblazers. They had like a bunch of roses on the court in like this gray, and it looks sick. I really love how committed the NBA is to this. They're like, look, you know, we're going to make this a big deal. This is basically a multi multi-million dollar investment that we're making, and we want to make sure that we're doing whatever we can to get buy-in from the players. We're going to give you new jerseys. We're going to give you new courts. We're going to give you a fat stack of cash that I heard some of it's going to go to Ryan Blackburn if Denver Nuggets win. And they're also going to give you a brand new banner to hang up from your facility. And somebody asked earlier, is the winner obligated to hang the banner? Yes. They want a ceremony. They want a lifting bear. They want to see the whole thing. You got to stand there, hand on your heart, tears in your eyes. NBA in-season tournament champions.
Watch it rise. Just like, wow, this is a big moment for my career. Like, wow.
In January, by the way, in January. So I'm actually really excited about this. I think that first Pelicans game, it really had a lot of potential, but just for everybody to get aware where the Pelicans are right now. CJ McCollum, out. DeJounte Murray, out. Herb Jones, out. Jose Alvarado, out. Jordan Hawkins, out. Ryan Williamson, out. The Denver Nuggets, per FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, they are currently a minus 8.5 favorite, and it could go up by the time we get to the game. Like, this team is decimated, and they're playing a rookie, and Daniel Tice at the big rotation. Brandon Ingram is trying to do his best to carry this team. Trey Murphy. But honestly, the Denver Nuggets, this should be a real opportunity to continue this win streak and add a 6 to the ledger.
Yeah, a guy to watch for that matchup is Yves Missi, the rookie center that Pelicans are probably going to start for that game. He looked really good in that last matchup that they had against Brooklyn, but it is just a different animal to go up against Jokic. What I will say, Missi will probably get some lobs. He'll probably get a bunch of opportunities. Brandon Boston Jr. was another pretty solid player that they've been able to pick up and have start in place of some of those injured guys. So it's not going to be a cakewalk for sure. And there's clearly some trap game potential in that, just with a whole bunch of players that Denver has, that the Pelicans have missing. So Denver's got to be focused. They have to put their pedal to the metal, and hopefully with 4 days off, they're as rested as they can be for it.
Yeah, now here's the thing. The Denver Nuggets did really well versus bad teams last year, or under 500 teams. But do you feel confident right now, given how they play versus the Raptors and the Nets and others, that they're going to come out and take care of business in the game, or do you feel like they're going to play with their food a little bit?
Man, isn't that the age-old question? Like, I mean, surely after a 5-game win streak and playing the way that they played and facing a team that's got like an entire rotation out, that they would look really good in this situation. No, I think that they will win. I don't think it will look good. And I think that honestly, Denver's going to go 2-1 on this upcoming road trip. I already predicted it to you. 2 of those games are cup games. 1 of them is not. They'll lose 1 of them. The question is what? And sometimes a loss in the midst of, like, when you're in a winning streak, a loss can be the best thing, can really be the best thing for you, because ultimately, like, teams start to slip when they're in the middle of playing really well. And it just wouldn't surprise me if Denver kind of lost some of those good habits, especially with as many young guys as there are in their rotation. So I'm curious to see how they handle it, but would love to see them blow out a team. That would be great.
Doom and gloom, Ryan Blackburn. I'm actually predicting they go 3-0, but most of this is just because they're rolling. Jokic is playing very well. The role players are playing well. I just think they're at a point in their season where they kind of just need a stack win versus teams you should be able to beat. And again, It's not like Memphis is like healthy right now. They're missing several players. Desmond Bane, Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson, they have all been dealing with injuries. And they're just going to have a lot of players that are even just going to be to be determined by the time the game gets here. And so you just want to make sure that as you're going through this early part of the season, you're getting as many wins as possible. Because once you get done with that, the Denver Nuggets, they have the Dallas Mavericks coming in the next Friday. They're going to have the Lakers that Saturday. And then they got the Knicks on Monday. Like, that's a nice stretch of games. And even if the Lakers and the Knicks are mid, and the Mavericks are mid right now, those are still very talented teams. We got LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns and Luka Doncic and Kyrie. Can't miss Irving. You do need to stack some wins as much as possible. What's the bet, Ryan? Are you going to do the Tommy Shelby haircut if they go 3-0?
Oh man, it's like you're trying to get me to get a haircut. I do need a haircut. That is very, very clear.
I have a Tommy Shelby agenda. Go ahead.
Yeah, if they go 3-0, I will get the Tommy Shelby haircut.
I love that. What do I have to do?
I'll do it.
What do I have to do? If they don't go 3-0, what's the bet for me?
Oh, okay. I think you got to wear some sort of chain on a next podcast or some sort of paraphernalia that is certainly not Nuggets related and is celebrating somebody else that they just lost to.
Oh, that's perfectly fine with me. I would very gladly wear a Brandon Ingram jersey. All right, on the other side, we're going to talk about the NBA as a whole, man. The NBA, a lot of really great basketball has been happening. A lot of great, just great individual basketball play from Steph Curry. Luka Doncic even played well. But SGA, 45-point game, no Chet Holmgren. We're going to talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets. As everybody knows, I love going to concerts, love going to comedy shows, love going and seeing the best events possible. But you want to make sure you're getting the best experience and the most bang for your buck. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Yo, all-in pricing. You can toggle the feature that shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. And Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference for the lowest price guarantee. In Game Time ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA, Locked On Nuggets, for $20 on your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Locked On Nuggets for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time.
Game time. We'll be right back for more here on Locked On Nuggets. We are back here for segment 2 of Locked On Nuggets. Yo, if you're listening to this on the Apple iTunes side, give us a 5-star review. That way more and more people can listen to the great content being made here on Locked On Nuggets. And also, if you're on the YouTube side, like, share, and subscribe. I want to see if we can get to 10,000 subscribers, y'all. We're continuing to build up the community more and more. Make sure you're plugging in here with the Locked On Nuggets community here on the YouTube side. Yo, Hurricane T-Bag, asking important questions. Are you a Jeff Foxworthy or a Jeff Dunham guy? Now, I'm a Jeff Dunham. Do you know Jeff Dunham is, Ryan Blackburn?
Yeah, no, I know. He's got the puppets. He nearly got canceled a couple times, but he's doing his best.
Yeah, he's really good. I'm a Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle, obviously Kevin Hart. Bill Burr just did the Saturday Night Live hosting just a couple nights ago. That's the kind of stuff I like, man. I love Bill Burr. I mean, he's probably legitimately might be my favorite right now.
The Buffalo Wild Wings one that they did,
yes,
that they hits really, really close to home, really close. That was a great one, and Bill Burr's just so funny, man. He's about as good as they get.
Yeah, he's a true Boston sports fan as well. Ryan, if you had to just kind of look at the league over the last several nights, what games have stood out to you the most to say that there's been elite basketball being played around the league as of late?
There's been a lot of great basketball. I think a couple ones you could go back to. The Golden State Dallas one that was on Tuesday. One of the first important ones that were played for the NBA Cup. That one was great. I think last night you could show. Surprisingly, Detroit has been a great watch so far this year.
Career year so far.
And they had to go up against the Milwaukee Bucks, and Giannis had 59 in overtime. That dude is putting the team on his back and just looking really good. Like, I know that there's some sort of, like, Nuggets fans can feel some kind of way about Giannis and whether he is in the Jokic conversation, what that conversation actually looks like. Like, Giannis is Hercules for that team. Jokic might be a celestial, like the thumbnail that Matt decided to put out there for the last Nuggets pod. But I do think that what Giannis has done has been just truly, truly impressive. And then, like, last night, Portland, man, they're playing great. Like, Delano Banton is giving Anthony Edwards that work. Donovan Clingan's got 8 blocks. And it's just like, it's just some really impressive basketball to me, man. Like I really am just kind of surprised at how good the product is right now.
Yeah, Shaden Sharp, one of the best putbacks you'll see all year in
Oh
that
my
game
God,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah, do you think this means anything for Minnesota that they've just lost back-to-back games versus Portland?
No, because I am impressed with Portland. I think it's one of those things where we had expectations for a team prior to the season. Portland is a little bit closer to competent now because they've got a whole bunch of good vets that they have on their team, in addition to some of the young guys that they're trying to develop at the same time. I think Klingon a little bit better than you would expect, but for Minnesota, they are like, I think they're worse. I do think that they're worse. I already kind of thought that going in, not necessarily super surprised. I am kind of surprised that Anthony Edwards went 0 of 9 from 3 in this last game,
did.
but like that dude is taking a lot of threes, and I think there's a reason why people were a little bit concerned. People were thinking, okay, he's Steph Curry with athleticism at the beginning of the year, but it is really hard to shoot that many threes and stay efficient.
Yeah, and then no Mike Conley either, and they just continue to have similar issues. This getting in and out of an offensive set without Mike Conley for them, that's a real detriment. And so we'll see. You know, he's older now. I think he's 37. So you know, being at that age and then having to depend on him like that, yeah, that's going to end up being a lot. I'm actually really excited to see how Portland continues to develop with Klingon, Shaden Sharp, and Scoot Henderson. Also, Kamara is a good player as well. I mean, they got some nice like rotational players there. Robert Williams played the other night. Looked really good.
Chris but also, Murray, man, like you're getting some of these guys that you're not really expecting to be any good, but Chris Murray, Keegan Murray's older brother, actually is solid. He's a solid 3-and-D guy for them, and you just need a couple of those guys in order to be functional around what you already have. So it's been really impressive, man. I think NBA is in a good place.
Cleveland, right now, the thing about Cleveland is they have played a legitimately fluff schedule for the most part. Now, again, it's not their fault. They didn't do anything to earn that. They're taking care of business as things go. But that's probably been the biggest criticism for them is that, like, yeah, they're good and they're going to continue to win games. Like, here's their schedule. They're 13-0. They play the Bulls, who just beat – who did they just beat yesterday? They just beat by 1 point. The Knicks. The Knicks. They beat the Knicks by 1 point last night. Then they have the Hornets, LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
He's playing well this year. And then they got the Celtics. So they very easily could be 15-0 going into that Celtics game, Ryan. How confident are you that this is going to be who they are, that they're going to be able to be like a tier 1 team rest of the year?
Well, it's funny. Last year, I thought that they would win 55 plus. Like, I thought that last year was going to be the jump year for them. And then it got off to a slow start, and then they got some injuries, and it just didn't really fully happen. Now, Evan Mobley is kind of like he has evolved to what they need him to be. He's not quite at that all-star level yet, but he is very close. And it just seems like they are finding different elements and different lineups that they can always put out there. Donovan Mitchell is great. And like they are a really tremendous team. So I'm not surprised by what I'm seeing from them. And I think that they have a chance to go get 60. I really do. I mean, look at the state of the Eastern Conference right now. Yeah. Why wouldn't they have a chance to go get 60?
Yeah, I think they can beat anybody right now. They've even looked better than Boston at times, but Boston, you know, I just know like once they get KP back, they're just going to be an Eastern Conference juggernaut again, for sure. And then no Embiid, no Paul George. You know, I don't really think it's their fault. I think they're legitimately like there are concerns around their injuries, but the way that the narratives come out of Philadelphia and how they have talked about these injuries and everything else, it's just wild to me. Also, by the way, shout out, Giannis had 59.
Yeah.
Victor Wembanyama, 50 points on 8 of 16 from 3 yesterday versus the Washington Wizards. And then Jordan Poole, 42 points as well.
Now, to be fair, I will say, like, Washington Wizards is like it has been Freelo for every center that has decided that they would like to have a good game. Well, you see the Wizards on the schedule or you see Charlotte on the schedule and you're like, all right, this is the time where I get to shine. But credit to him for taking advantage of it and doing it in a slightly different way. 8 of 16 from 3 is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Shout out to Victor, man. I think he's going to be a special player. Alexander Sarr continuing to figure things out as well. But then also 59-50, then you had 46 from Karl Anthony Towns too.
He looks great.
If they figure out how to play some defense, I think the Knicks going to be nice.
I don't think it's his fault either. Like, I know that there are some other folks that are talking about his center defense and talking about a whole bunch of different things. They don't necessarily have great personnel around him to defend. Jalen Brunson's really difficult to account for. And then Josh Hart has been making some iffy decisions, I'll say, on the perimeter. So I'm not surprised. And Mikal Bridges is kind of a cone out there on the defensive end now, surprisingly. So the only guy that I trust there defensively is OG Anunoby. And that's a tough place for him to be. But I mean, that's why he gets paid, what, 40, 45 million, whatever he's getting paid.
Yeah, I think they'll get better defensively as they figure out what they need to do with each other and playing around this new lineup. Mikal, again, DPOY, second finished, 2020-21. I think he was second in DPOY. You know, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart's a really good defender. Mitchell Robinson, when he gets back, is going to make a big difference as well. It's just going to take them some time. But y'all, on the other side, Michael Malone is about to make history. He is 2 wins away from becoming the winningest head coach in Denver Nuggets franchise history. And y'all, that is a huge deal. We're going to talk about all that and more here on Locked On Nuggets. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We'll be right back for more here on Locked On Nuggets. We are back here for segment 3 of Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swipa, with your other co-host, Ryan Blackburn. This is your team every day. As we said earlier, Michael Malone is 2 wins away from being the all-time winningest coach in Denver Nuggets history, overlapping Doug Bowe. He already overlapped George Karl just last year, 2 years ago. He has been, for me, Ryan, he's been the best coach in franchise history. He's delivered a title. They've gone to Western Conference Finals prior to that. He's developed Joker. He's developed Jamal. He developed Michael Porter Jr. He's helped develop Aaron Gordon. He developed Gary Harris. He developed Torrey Craig, developed Monte Morris. I mean, you name it. Like, Wilson Chandler came here, gave us great minutes. Kenneth Faried got really good minutes out of Kenneth Faried. Honestly, if you look at Michael Malone's track record, he's actually done an exceptional job for over the course of his career. And I would even argue that this year is one of his best coaching seasons ever so far. How
no doubt
he's been to make adjustments, how quick he's been to, I think, just identify issues with the team, with the lineups. Michael Malone, man, he doesn't get a lot of credit nationally. I mean, he does. Like, people like his personality. He's obviously a champion. But Malone, I mean, honestly, like, he should be in the running for Coach of the Year this year. I mean, honestly, Brian, like, typically when you have a young team that wins way more games than expected, like they did in 19 and 20 and 18, 19, they won 54 games and didn't really get Coach of the Year love. They were first seed by 7 games in 2023. Didn't get real Coach of the Year love. I just think he's been considered now one of the elite coaches in the sport. He's one of the longest tenured coaches in the sport, behind Steve Kerr, Eric Spoelstra, and Greg Popovich. Ryan, what do you think this would mean for Malone and for his legacy in Denver?
I think that's, like, more than anything, this is a stepping stone for him. When you're on the same team for 10 years, and he has been great while he has been here. There have been some things to quibble with, but he's been mostly great. I think that this was always going to happen if the Nuggets stuck with their plan, if they made sure that they were doing the right thing by the coach and by Nikola Jokic, who loves what Michael Malone has done. I think that he is as synonymous with this era of Nuggets basketball as anybody not named Jokic. I think Jokic is obviously going to be like the be all end all for everybody. Like, got him over there. But I do think that you point to Jamal Murray, you point to Michael Porter Jr., you point to Paul Millsap, you point to Aaron Gordon, you point to anybody else, you point to Calvin Booth or Tim Connolly or whoever. I think that Michael Malone has been the through line in a lot of that. And the Nuggets have adopted his personality in so many different ways where they never say die. They don't make excuses. They put their heads down and they work. And that's part of like Jokic's personality too. But the fit between those two has been so good over the course of these last few years. And I know that a lot of people will point to the fact, okay, the non-Jokic minutes are a problem. They are a problem. But it would be a problem for anybody. It wouldn't be a problem. Like, it would be a problem for just about any coach in the NBA. And I'm just not surprised that Michael Malone is going to get this honor. It's going to be a great moment. I wish it was happening in Denver where Nuggets fans could really support that. But I just am really, really impressed and have always been impressed with the job that Michael Malone has done for this organization and for this team.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm curious about, Brian. And even with the Jokic thing, like, he also gets credit for identifying Jokic and being able to build him, right? But the thing is, Malone gets this criticism for he's coaching Jokic, so he's like doesn't get Coach of the Year praise. It doesn't get considered like truly elite like Spo does because like, oh, you have Jokic. But on the other end, the Nuggets haven't had one other player that's been an all-star. Not one.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's his fault. Like, I guess he could have turned up the volume for one of these guards over the last couple of years and Jamal Murray.
Maybe.
But for what?
Yeah.
You know, like to the detriment of the team. But in the playoffs, they make some of the best adjustments every year. Their half-court adjustment, 2-3-1 comebacks. And then you get to the NBA Finals, you go 16-4, in part because he outcoached everybody, including Spo, in the NBA Finals. And so he's a great motivator. He's a great technician. And he just understands the game at a very high level. He communicates with his players. He obviously is like a little bit more, I would say, like aggressive than, you know, some other coaches are in terms of some of his things he may say or do. But he also, like, he'll get in front of the media. He'll tell you what he's thinking. He'll tell you what's on his mind, which I know we love him for because he's one of the great quote machines in the NBA. But he does all these things while taking on the burden of the franchise at the top. I just think that Malone, man, he is going to be – he's liked and loved now, but I think he's going to be remembered even higher than where his current Q rating is right now.
I hope so, man. Like, I don't want this to be the end. I want him to be a Nugget lifer if he can. It's just so rare for that to happen. And, like, there have been some coaches in the NBA that, like, once they have the opportunity and once teams kind of sense that opportunity has passed them by, then things change a little bit. And maybe that happens when Jokic ultimately decides to hang it up. But I hope that those two are together for the entirety of his career because there are so many things that he needs credit for, that he deserves credit for, that are behind the scenes that not everybody fully appreciates. The way that he ties the locker room together and makes it so that everybody's pushing the same direction at all times, despite the fact that you've got this one guy who's really freaking good and gets all the credit and nobody else is ever going to really get the credit. How is it possible for a coach to be able to manage that situation and make sure that everybody's still happy, that make sure everybody's still doing the right things and they're never going to get jaded ever? Like, these are professional, like, these are guys who have reached the highest levels. They're the best at their craft. And you would think that they would be in a situation where they might feel some kind of way about, oh, hey, Jokic gets all the credit. He gets all of it. They don't. And one of the reasons for that is because of the culture that has been established, not just by Jokic, but by Michael Malone too.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think he is just – Phil Jackson didn't get, like, discredited for coaching Mike, you know, or coaching Kobe and coaching Shaq. And, you know, you have other players that have been all-time great players. I guess for me, it's really confusing sometimes the way he's talked about. Like, he's benefiting solely from Joker, but he's not actually doing anything to build it out, which, again, it's just categorically just untrue. I mean, Malone, he's the best coach in franchise history, brought their first title, which, again, I can't seem to stress to people, like, how much he has done in total, like for the city, like and for the team, how much he's committed, and he's been faithful through this team, throughout the process. And so just a really, really great coach. He's a good man. I really appreciate him, and I'm excited to see him get, I think he's going to get his jersey and his number hung up in the Raptors as well.
It'll eventually happen. I hope that he eventually gets a Coach of the Year nod. I was thinking about that when you were talking about Cleveland. Man, yeah. Kenny Atkinson's definitely getting Coach of the Year if they never lose. And that's going to be like, it just happens where you get the new coach coming in and you get to freshen up the old ideals of the old coach. And sometimes that ultimately works to people's favor, but I'm not necessarily sure if that's what's actually going to like translate in the playoffs. And I know what Michael Malone does translates in the playoffs. So it's fascinating.
Is it just going to be like that again? Like where they just the new coach, new system?
Yeah. That's how the NBA believes it. Like you remember when Mike Brown got Coach of the Year for what he did with the Kings and he got them all the way up to 46 wins?
Yeah. Well, Mike, I think they won 51 games that year, I think, because they finished as the 3 seed, right?
Oh, I thought
did it get more? Because I think the Denver had 53. Oh, actually, no, they might have been about 46, but they got to the 3 seed that year. And even they had the number 1 offense of all time. I definitely understood that. But this is the thing, man. It's like Malone continues to prove proof of concept. Like that's a big deal. Every year you're winning over and above the amount of games you have. And so this year, Christian Brown, 3rd year, Peyton Watson, 3rd year, but really 2nd. Julian Strawther, 2nd year. Hunter Tyson, 2nd year. Russell Westbrook, nobody wanted to deal with him. And all of a sudden, they're like, oh, yeah, we're just going to keep winning.
Yep.
But no credit towards Malone. Hey, I'm just saying that's crazy. Can't even get a Team USA invite. Whatever.
Would be great. Or, hey, I at this point, I want him to go get a Team Serbia invite. I think that would be sick.
Where are you from? That's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Nuggets. Make sure you let us know in the comment section, how do you feel about Michael Malone becoming soon the winningest coach in Denver Nuggets history? Are you excited about the basketball you're watching this November? And what are your thoughts on the NBA Cup? I'm Swipa. That's Ryan. And we'll see you on the other side.